most folks they're just trying to get their kids to school. They're trying to make sure they don't lose their lease. They don't have time to focus on this stuff in the way that you and I have the privilege of doing. And so I was afraid that the message wouldn't get through. And I'm surprised that the voters picked up on those big signals of extremism in the sheriff and voted him out. Now, Madam Mayor, and we can't call her Karen anymore. It's got to be
Madam Mayor, right? The Honorable Mayor Bass. Yeah,
Honorable Mayor. What an achievement! You think about Karen. She's been okay. Listen to me. I can't even do it now. Mayor-elect Bass. She has been serving our folks, everybody else's folks, their health, their safety. She knit together coalitions when coalitions weren't cool.
Yeah, they still might not be cool, but we still need them. Yeah,
it was the only way we're African Americans are going to survive is through coalition politics. So we better get good at it. We're already okay at it, but we need to understand. It's strategic alliances now, and it's strategic coalitions, and you got to understand. In a region where 200 languages are spoken, and we have 17 indigenous dialects spoken just in LA. That's just so.
Wow.
This region, there's nothing like it in the world. Brazil isn't as multicultural and multilingual as we are. So you've got to get a very sophisticated coalition politics that makes sure everybody gets enough of the basics. For us to share enough prosperity. And we're nowhere close to that. But Madam Mayor, here's why Karen Bass was a candidate for this time. I've never seen anybody work a coalition strategy the way Mayor Bass does. And I saw it with Republicans on Capitol Hill. Now, most folks, this is getting too much in the weeds, but that Justice and Policing Act that was put forth in the wake of the George Floyd murder by Derek Chauvin. When she had that piece of legislation, nobody else could get it out of the committee to the floor of the House and then from the House to the Senate. Nobody could do it. She took over, got the hair for brains Republicans to actually come to the table and talk about it. By the time she got done with it, even the Fraternal Order of Police it got watered down. But there were some key elements in there that were worthy of the effort. She worked that for over a year and got it out of the House into the Senate. And I need to tell you, you don't need to understand, you know the polarization. That's almost impossible to do. And I don't know anybody else who could have done it but Karen Bass. So I think we are enormously blessed to have somebody of her intelligence, her compassion, her dedication. She's not in this for anything else. This is her last stand. Just like she doesn't want any other job. She's not going to immediately turn around and try to run for president.
Right.
She's actually going to focus on L.A. and from the eye of the bottom up, which is important. And so I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Dominique?
Ooh, yeah. We're going to talk more about that when we come forward. I mean, this is something that I'm obviously celebrating after having watched this woman in action literally for decades. And I think it's good news for all of LA, even those who voted for Rick Caruso, I think, despite their better judgment, are going to benefit very, very, very handsomely from this historic moment. It's KBLA Talk 1580. By the way, we're unapologetically progressive.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Health is Wealth and Medicare and Covered California's open enrollment for medical insurance is here. RHJ Insurance Agency can help you find affordable rates and the plan that's just right for you and your family. Call 562-204-6120 for your free quote. Don't leave your health to chance. Open enrollment is here and affordable coverage is just a phone call away. Call 562-204-6120 for your free quote and get the coverage you need. Go to www.rhjins.com.
So you tested positive for COVID. What's next? Treat yourself. There are free COVID treatments available. Taken by pill, these medications can stop the illness from getting serious. So treat yourself. Call a healthcare provider or the statewide COVID hotline at 833-422-4255 to find free treatment today. Again, that's 833-422-4255. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
East West Players brings you the stage play Brothers Paranormal by Prince Gomovilas, directed by Jeff Liu, November 17th through December 11th. After a nationwide increase in sightings of Asian-looking ghosts, two Thai brothers, one from Thailand and one from the American Midwest, struggle to launch a ghost hunting business and are called to the home of an African-American couple displaced from Hurricane Katrina. This suspenseful, humorous, compassionate exploration of the trauma of leaving home, whether crossing the country, the globe, or the other side, is a play for everyone. Get tickets now through December 11th at eastwestplayers.org. eastwestplayers.org.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580. Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader. Follow 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 the leader.
It's Pro Time, which means at Lowe's, you're invited to enjoy a Lowe's Pro Happy Hour. Kick back with free Pepsi Cola drinks and Frito-Lay snacks. Plus, earn 3 times bonus points per dollar on purchases of select Pepsi products. Come into Lowe's and get the full MVP treatment at Pro Happy Hour on November 17th from 2 to 5 p.m. While supplies last. Bonus points offer valid 10/27 through 12/8. Calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. See Lowes.com/L/pro loyalty terms.
King C. Gillette is the modern man's answer to their facial hair. A complete set of precision tools and quality care products fit for your beard style. There's the King C. Gillette Beard Thickener that strengthens the facial hair you already have while increasing the volume of each strand for a noticeably thicker look. And with daily use, it maintains thickness with a lightweight fragrance with the King C. Gillette signature scent. Master your style with King C. Gillette.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
You know, reading the bio of Connie Rice, the attorney, civil rights attorney, really iconic civil rights attorney who is joining me this morning. It doesn't say one of the smartest people I know. It should say that on there.
And so, I shouldn't say any of that. Dominique, you're too kind.
But I mean, no, but it's really true. And also a person with a lot of foresight. So when you ask me, you know, how I feel about the election of Congresswoman Karen Bass to the mayor's office of Los Angeles, I'm sure you were kidding because you know that I've been a longtime supporter of hers. And for the reason that she gets things done, for many of the other reasons that you outlined, she's been able to work across the aisle. She's been able to work in coalition. But, you know, I was reflecting on the Summer of Success, which a lot of people don't know about. I tried to talk about that during campaign season, that it was really you and the Marshall Plan that you wrote for peace on the streets of LA, right? And what it would take, along with Bob Ross, Karen Bass, then community organizer Karen Bass, then council member Martin Ludlow, Bruce Saito of the California Conservation Corps. But really, you know, the vanguard of that was based on a report you did, and the Community Coalition was instrumental in doing this project called Summer of Success in Baldwin Village, which was the prototype upon which the GRID program and Summer Night Lights was built. And, you know, for those who are like, wait, what does that have to do with the mayor's race? To me, it's very important because we talk about top issues, public safety, dealing with houselessness, right? And affordability of our city, whether it's through housing for those who already have houses or trying not to lose them, or just paying for your groceries, keeping the lights on. So to me, those are foundational issues, and the process and the prototype of Summer of Success was a big part of what took us under the Villaraigosa administration to this unprecedented safe city. And so I just wonder if you would reflect on that through the lens of what we're looking at today, which is a Bass administration and public safety.
Well, that's a great frame for this, Dominique, because the summer success effort was basically, and yeah, I was the tip of the spear. The only role I play is to create the political room for a different discussion.
It's a huge role.
We had over 40 subject matter experts, PhDs and street HDs. So we had UCLA, USC PhDs in trauma and violence reduction, PhDs in public health, sociology, nursing. We had all kinds of experts. We also had gang interventionists, gang members. We had a lot of advocacy organizations, heads of community coalition-like organizations, Brenda Shockley's group. We had a whole bunch of stuff, and multiracial.
I mean, you're right. I should have said
every community.
I should have said Shell Dog and Bo Taylor. Yeah, I should have said all those folks. Yeah.
It was an army of PhDs, street HDs, advocates, lawyers, cops, police reformers. It was a community of the whole. And we said, we're stuck on stupid. We've got mass incarceration, the new Jim Crow, and we need to stop that and go after the conditions that produce an ideology of hopelessness. And we need to flip from an enforcement frame to a safety and health frame. That was the big idea there. And Summer of Success was trying to change the physics on the ground. Instead of locking up all of our kids because we've given them to gangs. And gangs are a reaction to exclusion and suppression and emasculation. And so you go all around the world, wherever you see deprivation, you will see gangs. Go to Brazil, go to Russia, go anywhere you go. People will find alternative systems for power, and you won't like them because they'll turn to violence and totalitarian suppression of their own. So all of that was to say we've got to interrupt the stuff that claims our kids. We have to claim our kids. And Summer Success was like, we're going to have programs, we're going to have round the clock care for our kids. So that was the revolutionary idea. It was a big idea, and it took all of us together. So for you to bring that up is exactly what Mayor Bass is going to have to do, only on a bigger scale. For example, take homelessness. Nobody has put out a plan that's going to even dent homelessness because it's on a geometric increase spiral, meaning the more you solve it, the more homeless are created. You're not going far enough upstream to stop the inflow. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so what Mayor Bass, I hope what she will do is to go big and bold and explain to Angelenos what it's really going to take. We can keep passing, all these Measure H's. It's a good thing to raise more money to build more housing, but you can't build your way out of a problem that is fundamentally about income inequity. People can't afford the rents. It's true that there aren't places to rent, but we don't have a system. We don't have a public housing system that actually addresses the needs of the population of the poor and the working poor who really can't afford to live here. So if we want a community where you have nurses and doctors and you have janitors and you have folks who work in the garment district who don't have to take 4-hour commutes because they can only afford to live in the outskirts of San Bernardino, you have to actually plan a community. I mean, urban planning is an oxymoron in L.A. No such thing. Okay? But I think if the mayor were to say to Angelenos, this is what it's really going to take. Number one, there's no agency with the power to make the decisions that are necessary. You've got all these little fractured places, and then people start pointing fingers at LASA. They start pointing fingers at the public, at the county level of housing, the housing authority. They start. So it becomes a crossfire hurricane of a circular firing squad, and none of those agencies has the power or the jurisdiction to be able to solve this. So you know what I look to as a model? I remember when I used to live, when I was in 8th grade, we lived at Edwards Air Force Base and, out there by Lancaster, Antelope Valley. And my parents would drive us over the Grapevine and down into L.A. to attend First AME Church. We'd go about once a month, okay? And I can remember coming over that Grapevine and seeing that dark gray air. You couldn't even see the city. The air was so dirty. Do you want to know how this region cleaned its air? It was an emergency that affected everybody's health, right? So it was at a crisis level. It wasn't done by DWP doing a little bit and some place in Long Beach doing. It was a regional strategy. Want to know what the first thing was? They created a super agency that had the power and the jurisdiction to make the decisions that are necessary to solve the crisis. So they created the AQMD and the Air Resources Board, right? And then you had technology. You had catalytic converters embedded. It took like a 5-flank war with the power to make the decisions. There was no NIMBYism. If AQMD finds a paint factory that's emitting fumes from its, they had 10 days to fix it up. There was no going to court. There was no delays. You had to fix it or you lost your license to operate. That's how we got the air cleaned. And otherwise, we'd have air like New Delhi and Beijing. You wouldn't be able to breathe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So if Mayor Bass can get the moxie and the stones, and she has them, I know. She's tougher than all the men I know. If she can declare, just map it out with the folks who know what it's actually going to take, as opposed to, throwing a little bit of money at a symptom. You can build, yes. Do you need to build? Yes. Do you need to have temporary shelters? Yes. But if you don't have a sort of 360-degree strategic plan that's attached to enough power to solve the crisis, we're going to be here shoveling quicksand 5 years from now.
We're talking with attorney Connie Rice. We've got news, traffic, and sports right now. And I think it's right. It's time to go big. I also think, Attorney Rice, you made a really, really good point about Madam Mayor-elect Congresswoman Karen Bass, that she's uniquely positioned to do this job and to succeed even in some pretty challenging times because of her coalition building past, because of her ability to reach across the aisle, and also because she's committed. This is a huge and important and likely final project for her political portfolio. We'll continue our conversation with attorney Connie Rice when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. New Jersey's governor says racism has no home in his state after a white resident called police on a black girl. A man from outside of Newark called 911 because he was scared when he saw a little black woman spraying something on trees and sidewalks. Monique Joseph is livid since the person turned out to be her 9-year-old daughter, Bobby Wilson, who was spraying repellent to combat the state's lanternfly population. You may have noticed the price of gas is falling again. AAA now reporting the national average price for regular is down 2 cents from Wednesday to $3.72 a gallon. That's 8 cents lower than a week ago. Texas is the low price leader with a statewide average of $3.06. California still the highest at $5.37 a gallon. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Holiday season is here, and if peace and quiet is at the top of your wish list, you'll love Casper's selection of mattresses. Save up to $800 online or at a participating store near you. Exclusions apply. See Casper.com/promo.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams got some much-needed good news. Quarterback Matthew Stafford has cleared the NFL's concussion protocol and will play in Sunday's game in New Orleans. LeBron James has agreed to co-produce a docuseries on the life of Nipsey Hussle. The docuseries will include interviews with several major players in the music business, including Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and Diddy. Nipsey was 33 when he was fatally shot in 2019 outside one of his stores in South LA. Today could be a game-changing moment for UCLA athletics. The UC Board of Regents are meeting today to vote on whether or not they should block UCLA's move to the Big Ten Conference. UCLA is joining USC to move to the Big Ten in 2024. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're a slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at the MVP.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
Sanctuary of Hope invites you to come out, support Homeless Youth Awareness Month at a candlelight, interfaith prayer, and youth voice reflections, Tuesday, November 29th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. For more info, visit thesoh.org. Did you know a housing crisis puts young people at huge risk of more violence and trauma? And right now, young people and their children need support more than ever. Prevention services such as financial assistance, education, employment support, and mental health well-being are main drivers of impact. Contact thesoh.org for more information. Did you know an estimated 4.2 million youth and young adults experience homelessness, of which 700,000 are unaccompanied minors? The pathway to functional zero is prevention. More info at thesoh.org. Again, thesoh.org.
Let K. Michelle's Kitchen Catering bring you a world of flavors to your next event. For all occasions, book with K. Michelle's Kitchen Catering. Call 310-819-6213 or go to KMichelleKitchenCatering.com. Proud sponsor of the Office of the Week. Let K. Michelle's Kitchen Catering cater your next event. Book today at KMichelleKitchenCatering.com or on Instagram at KMichelle's_Kitchen Catering or on Facebook at K. Michelle's Kitchen Catering. We look forward to cooking for you soon.
This Sunday and every Sunday is the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Get free groceries, essential resources, and buy black from local merchants of arts, beauty, custom black merchandise, and more. Choose from a wide variety of cuisines, custom-made clothing, jewelry, and a lot more. Experience the true essence of Africatown at Leimert Park every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join the Drum Circle, dance, enjoy live performances, connect with other conscious black people. Experience black excellence every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. You can find us on Degnan Boulevard near Vernon and Crenshaw in the heart of Africatown at Leimert Park. That's the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Join us for music, shopping, food, and fun this and every Sunday. Support black businesses, recycle black dollars, and feed your soul. The African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. Brought to you by Africatown Enterprise and the African Village Vendors Association.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And I'm honored to have Attorney Connie Rice on in Tav Smiley Show today. He will be hearing from Madam Mayor in a KBLA exclusive. So I love that. I feel like, we have been at KBLA part of this mayor's race every step of the way. And Tavis will be sharing some words from Madam Mayor during his show, which is from 9 to noon daily. So, you laid out sort of the challenges, right, Attorney Rice, of this moment that we're in. And there's a side of me that feels like every time, it reminds me of President Obama. Whenever we're in a very desperate situation, that's when we're ready to try an African-American leader, right? With Obama, we were on the brink of Great Depression 2.0. With Mayor Bass, we have all of these massive challenges. And now we're hearing that instead of the surplus that we've been enjoying in the budget, that California may face a deficit next year. But you have said she's got to go big. And, I think that we're dealing with the city, even though, I was happy to see the returns coming in so strongly as the mail-in ballots came in. We are still dealing with the divided city. I mean, $100 million in bashing a person. And you can see the zip code divides when you look at the the votes coming in. Can we, what do you think it's going to take to bring this city together and get us to those big, ginormous kinds of solutions that we are going to need for public safety and affordability, not just, for the houseless, but for those housing insecure folks. And, affordability, I think affordability in public safety are two huge ones.
Yeah, they are. And just a footnote, it's amazing what was done. In the primaries, Congresswoman Bass was outspent almost 20-1. In the post-primary, in this election, she was outspent 10-1. And that's an amazing, I mean, for her to overcome that kind of financing gap, I think she did it with, I don't know, but I'm guessing a great ground game and a grassroots connection that outpowered that kind of money. That's an amazing thing in and of itself. And now, it's instead of the 5 kings on the board of supervisors, it's the 5 queens, and we now have Madam Mayor. So, and my law partner, Steve English, just said the other week, he said, yeah, it's time to fire the men, bring in the women.
Right?
So, I'm with Steve. So that is one thing. I think she can work. Now, when I say go big, I'm talking about the vision and the effectiveness of the strategy. It's not about gargantuan sums of money. I'm not talking about raising taxes. I'm talking about the massive amounts of money that already exist that aren't organized and deployed to solve problems. And so you've got to have the county and the city for the first time actually linking up and operating as a seamless system. And if you you look at those huge departments at the county, and one PhD once says, Connie, you got to think about the county as Oz without the wizard. So buckle up, because the departments are so big and so massive. Nobody knows. There are only a couple of people in each department who actually know where everything is, where everybody is, and how it really works. And you've got this Darwinian banging system, and they're like different cliques banging against one another instead of coming together and huge resources, billions and billions at the county, that are really spent not to solve problems, but to service the symptoms of the problems. If you start to reorganize government and the taxes that we have right now for these departments to start doing the wraparound strategies that we did in Summer's Success, that was multiple agencies. That wasn't just, a grassroots groups. That was grassroots groups with city agencies, one county agency, the housing authority, all of the grassroots advocacy groups, the gang intervention, all of us together.
And law enforcement.
Got in the boat and rowed.
Yep. Earl Pasinger was in Southwest. It was, you're right. It was a massive effort.
So it's really a matter of, and if you take homelessness, if you explain to the voters, look, I'm not here to sell you pixie dust, okay? I'm not here to give you a fairy tale. This is what this is going to take. Phase 1, we get the power from Sacramento to actually create a super agency. That super agency has the following agenda. That's going to take 3 years. Step 2, in the meantime, we will have $100 million. We can get 30,000 people. You do that kind of reverse engineering. And what you do is you start getting the power and the resources into a strategy that has the capacity to solve it, not just service it, not just keep trying to dig out of a quicksand pit. They put a lot of folks into shelter, but 4 times as many became homeless because of the pandemic, because of all kinds of meta forces that really bashed folks who were at the bottom of the economic scale, and they didn't have anywhere to go. And even with the moratoriums on evictions, which are about to end, you've got to stop that pipeline. You've got to stop creating more homeless. At the same time, you get the power to solve the current problem. At the same time, you explain to voters, this is about income inequality. And you want to know what it's going to take to fix that? Guess what? We are actually going to have to fund the kind of safety nets that Sweden and Norway have, okay? And we're going to have to do it with county resources as well. And so I'm talking about taking the resources, and the same thing for public safety. I'm not down for hiring more cops. We don't need more traditionally trained police officers. That we need more funding of the wraparound strategy for the hot zones. And then for the neighborhoods where people are having their Rolexes stolen at five-star restaurants. That's a different strategy, right? That should not be happening, but it doesn't take hiring more cops to do it. It takes deploying them in a different way. We need to assess the efficiency of the current $3 billion that we spend. That's like half of the discretionary budget of LA. We can't give more to that. We have to use the policing and enforcement systems that we have in a more productive way, as well as expand what we're doing with the safety police, because that's what poor residents say they want. They want police who don't look at them as just arrest stats. They want police who actually have some compassion for our children. They want police who help heal and build, not search and destroy. So there's lots that you can do with the current resources before. I think if you demonstrate that you've got the right strategy at the right scale to solve the crisis as it exists and as it's going to get bigger, and then you can show voters that it's effective, you can show them phase by phase that it's being effective, then the voters will stop lashing out. And I know I'm laying out stuff that's, probably curdling people's brains right now, but that's what it's going to take.
Well, I'm just laughing because you said the voters lashing out. I felt like it has been quite an interesting election, and that, oh man, that's, that is part of it, is the unpredictability of the voters. I mean, the fact that LA voters saw through $100 million in advertising, and the ground game, you're right, decades of work and organizing and the message are all important, but the voters, elected some progressives to the city council. The incumbents have had a hard life in the LA City Council. It's a really, I think it's been unpredictable. Meanwhile, Venice has swerved to the right with this apparent election of, a successor to Mike Bonin, who's going to be the most conservative member.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by lashing out. If you don't solve the problem strategically, they'll lurch to the right, and they'll just want mano dura. They'll want the iron hand, and that's what, when people feel like, that's what you're seeing in Trump country. You send our kids to wars that shouldn't be fought. You took all our jobs and created rust belts. You left us behind, and we don't believe in any of these institutions. And guess what? We're going to burn the place down.
Right, but I mean, I can see that. I mean, it seems like Venice is the west. It seems like the West Side is a lot more conservative than it used to be, and apparently not in step, at least that district, with the progressive movement that we've seen statewide and here locally. When we come forward, I want to get your thoughts on that. And also, when we talk about the sheriff's race, what is accountability really going to look like? I know we have Measure A now. I'm not sure how you felt about that. But what is it going to really look like? Because it's not like we have elected a progressive sheriff, and there's a lot of work to do. We're talking with attorney Connie Rice. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
Courage is contagious. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Higher gas prices meant oil companies made massive profit. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by MLK Hospital. The average for regular gas is $5.46 at the pump, with $5.80 for premium. Meanwhile, local refiners like Phillips 66 and Marathon report profit increases up to 1,243% higher than last year. Governor Newsom was reported to say that big oil is making record profits by, quote, ripping off Californians, end quote. Penalties for this price gouging will put profits back into taxpayers' pockets in the form of a direct deposit refund. I'm Maisha Cairo, and that's your K-Black Minute News. Let us know your thoughts on this by tweeting us at KBLA 1580. When you have your baby at MLK Community Hospital, they will work hard to make sure you and your family have the experience that you want. MLK Hospital welcomes your new baby.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
Don't talk, just listen. Listening is life-changing. Life-changing. As words become increasingly weaponized and politicized in our community and in our country, sometimes it's easier not to listen. But charitable listening is an act of generosity, a sign of respect. Just listen. When we listen actively, we surrender our own assumptions and notions to make space for the ideas of another. In times of turmoil, just listen. Listening is the only way forward. Thank you for listening to KBLA Talk 1580. Talk 1580. Talk 1580. Talk 1580. Listen.
Leaving things half done, not a good look. Like a half-done hairdo.
All done.
Shouldn't the curls be on both sides? A half-baked peach cobbler.
A gummy crust? I don't think so.
Or a half of a domino.
Bam! Big six!
But where's the other half? Don't go halfway, especially with your immunity to COVID-19. Stay up to date with your vaccines and boosters. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find one near you. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Looking for legitimate political discourse without the bear spray? Tune in and speak out. KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with attorney Connie Rice. So let's start with my second question first, which is about what does accountability look like for Sheriff-elect Luna? Because, you know, even though a priority was getting a different sheriff, Luna comes with his own baggage, accusations of anti-blackness and excessive force in Long Beach, right? And you talked about this need for a new culture and how that's a macro goal that may take years and in a different kind of investment in change, commitment to change than we currently have. But still, there has to be accountability. We've got to see some progress. So what does that look like in your opinion? And what role does Measure A play?
Well, Measure A is going to play a role only if the sheriff goes way, way, way out of bounds. And there's real cause for the county supervisors to take him out of office. So that's not going to play a major role. Look, this election was about trying to get somebody in there. It wasn't about progressive. That wasn't even on the table. Okay, that wasn't even an option for this election.
For sure.
It was about putting in a law enforcement executive who understands he is subject to the rule of law. He is subject to civilian control and civilian oversight. Okay? So when the Inspector General sends this sheriff-elect a subpoena, he's not going to act like he's not subject to subpoena. He's in the rule of law system. He has to obey that subpoena. He's not going to ignore consent decrees. He's not going to ignore, so all we did in this election is get a traditional law enforcement executive who will agree to comply with the rule of law. That's just kind of, we're getting back up to level one.
Right, it's a low bar, but I'll take it.
We were below the first floor. Right? So this is not a conversation about progressive. That's not even on the table. I think that for Sheriff-elect Luna, and by the way, just full disclosure, I endorsed him. And when he called and I said, Chief Luna, I said, just full disclosure, I was part of the team with the Cochran firm and Rodney's firm who got that $9.7 million punitive damages verdict against your department. You do realize that? So we had just sued him, sued his department in Long Beach. And so there were real problems there, but there are problems with every single police force. And as I said, the choice was between an outlaw sheriff and an executive who would obey the law. So that's what that thing is. Now, accountability would look like this. First of all, he's got to get the right advisors. If you're an outside chief in a department you didn't come up in, you are like the COVID virus, and the department has got the vaccine, okay? Because you are about to get wiped out, okay? You can't. It's very hard to bring in an outside chief. Bratton was the only way. Remember, Willie Williams wasn't even allowed to get in the door.
Yeah.
So that's that. If he overcomes those, so he's got to come in with his own team. He's got to come in with top-notch advisors who know the sheriff's department from the inside out. In other words, he's got to get former folks like Jim Helmed and Cheryl Newman and Cecil Rambo. He's got to get those folks to come in as his mafia, so to speak, and take over the leadership. And then he's got to do a listening tour and put the priorities right. What are the biggest fires to put out first? And then you've got to get the right people in place. You don't have a lot of time to do that, okay? And when you come in blind, and if you're an outside chief, you are going to be blind. You're an outside sheriff, you're going to be blind. If you don't come in with that kind of army, you are not going to succeed. So accountability would look like this. Number one, complying with the law. That's going to be an improvement. Number two, a strategic plan to assess what it is about the culture in the sheriff's department that's got to change from the top to the bottom. I've always said that putting your sheriff's deputies in the jails for 4 years sours them, makes them cynical, and makes them cruel. And flipping that jail needs to be shut down. The jail that the sheriffs run, it's like the Bastille. If you go down in the basement, you're looking around trying to figure out. The guards are scared to go down there. So there's some huge projects that have got some huge priorities. So just getting that strategic plan in the first 9 months would put us on the road. But then, Dominique, the problem is agreeing to measurements of progress toward the goal.
Attorney Connie Rice is our guest when we come forward. I want to get your thoughts. I mentioned it. You mentioned it. Wealth and income inequality and the West Side versus the rest of us in this election. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here for KBLA Talk 1580. We're live in Los Angeles at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. And I'm speaking to some of the attendees today to see why it was so important for them to be here.
Yeah, this is Lathan and Tyler. Main reason that's very important for me to be here is just to leave a legacy for my kids. Black wealth, generational wealth is what we need in our community, you know. Oh, Chase, someone has to take the lead. They're showing, big business like Chase cares, and, they're putting their money where their mouth is at, So it's good to see, big institution like Chase, giving a lifting hand, to the community. And, you got to respect that. It makes me want to bank with Chase and, give them, another look if I go to another institution. I actually see what Chase is doing for the community.
That's right. Chase is doing their part to help advance Black wealth. For more money support, tune in every day from 12 to 2 to KBLA Talk 1580's Midday Money Chain, right here.
Drop it! When you tune in to KBLA Talk 1580, we want you to know what you're downloading.
Now you listen to me, and you listen to me closely.
In a recent African-American media issue survey conducted by the public opinion research and public policy consulting firm Eviteris, KBLA Talk 1580 was found to be the most trusted, credible, and reliable source on the airways for Black Los Angeles and beyond. Check it out. We take our role seriously as your trusted messenger. At KBLA Talk 1580, it's about truth, not ratings. And when you hear us say, when we come forward, we mean it.
That's the bottom line.
We're not going back. Not to the back of the bus, not to back alleys, not back in the closet, and definitely not back to the good old days.
Might as well forget it. No way.
We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, reminding you, when we fight, we win. Central CSO organizes for the rights of the undocumented. quality public education, and supporting in solidarity other communities seeking social justice. Central CSO stands for Chicano X, self-determination, defending public education, and fighting for all oppressed people in Boyle Heights and East Los Angeles. Find Central CSO meetings every third Wednesday. Visit online at centralcso.wordpress.com or on Instagram at CentralCS. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Time flies when you're learning a lot of things. Attorney Connie Rice, just a couple minutes here. I was asking you about income inequality. You know, what triggered that was the Tracy Park apparent victory over Aaron Darling, and just the way this mayor's race played out with zip codes. What are your thoughts on that in LA?
Yeah, that's the kind of engineering that takes Sacramento strategy. At every single level of power, you have got to get a strategy for a more robust safety net, income backup systems, and the kind of systems that smooth out the grotesque, punishing pounding that unregulated capitalism can do. And we're not going to change this capitalist system. It's wired. So if you have a capitalist system, has capitalism been more fair in the past with more shared prosperity and more upward mobility? We've now engineered downward mobility. We need to reverse that. And it's going to take massive, it's going to take new regulations, but it's also going to take some lifting of some regulations. It's going to take systems that you see in Europe for safety net, and it's going to take what Martin Luther King Jr. called the wraparound income. It's a kind of floor below which you don't let folks go. Now, it can be funded without huge increases in taxes, but you got to get the political will for that vision.
Well, I guess it's time for you to get back to work, since that's your specialty, that political will. Attorney Connie Rice, it's a pleasure talking with you, and certainly look forward to seeing what will unfold in our city and maybe even more crucially in our county, as you started off the conversation. Attorney Rice, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks so much, Dominique. Take care.
Indeed, KBLA delegation, it is time for you to call me. Love to hear your thoughts about how things are unfolding so far and what's next for the city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.